Octavio Solis' grandfather and generations before him were farmers, but he's never tilled soil nor harvested crops. He's a playwright from San Francisco, and he's come to a small farm today to do research.
I wanted to write a story about a farmer who's in despair at the failure of his crop. I came to Soul Food Farms to interview one of its founders, Alexis KQED. I was intrigued with the struggles she's had over the last 15 years.
Alexis KQED invested her life savings in these 54 acres to raise chickens in an environmentally friendly fashion.
Soul Food Farm as a pastured chicken and egg business existed for 7 years. At any given time during our normal production, we would have 10,000 chickens on this farm.
At the height of her operation, KQED supplied poultry and eggs to top Bay Area restaurants like Chez Panisse. But like many farmers, her family-run enterprise was vulnerable.
I wanted to know why the chicken business part of your farm was shut down.
Right. The big reason we shut our farm down was because of the drought in the Midwest. We were paying $14,000 to $15,000 a month in chicken feed. Grain prices were going to escalate.
KQED's farm already commanded top prices at $8 for a dozen eggs and $25 to $30 for a whole chicken.
I knew if I raised our prices anymore, we were going to lose a lot of customers. So without raising our prices, there was no way to cover those increased costs in feed.
KQED had to give up her chicken business. She's now looking for another way to keep her farm afloat.
It's very crushing and suggests to me that this is an example of how failure can be really total for some farmers who feel so alone in their battles against both business and nature at the same time. I'm always intrigued with those stories of darkness and despair and distress, and it also taps into my own fears.
Solis is one of 18 writers commissioned by the Berkeley Repertory Theatre to explore the theme of food. On this day, they're holding a workshop. Artistic director Tony Tacconi envisions a series of short plays performed over several days.
I mean, food is connected to memory, desire, what we love and hate about ourselves. And it's a deep topic, and it's a personal topic. And we thought, this feels like a different way to approach issues. You know, because when you approach topics politically, they easily become didactic or reductive, and you turn people off. People say, oh, God, Berkeley, and that's Berkeley Rep. You know, political theater, boring, horrible. It's not my responsibility. I'm not guilty.
The playwrights are carving out their individual styles and approach. The different plays grapple with a range of ideas, from fad diets to the experience of migrant farm workers.
Obviously, the pieces of art are meant to entertain. They're also meant to educate. They're meant to inform. They're meant to inspire. But certainly, as artists, we engage in this project because we want to learn something.
You ready to bake a cake? I'm ready. Now, fabulous. Here's yours. Ready.
The research of another San Francisco playwright, Lauren Gunderson, is sweetened with family history. She's working today with her sister, Catherine, a pastry chef, to learn how to make coconut cake. It's a recipe used by 3 generations, first by her grandmother and now by her sister.
The butter and the sugar, the best part. Very important.
The female hero of this play is really examining the assumed position of women in the kitchen. What does that cake mean? Do we pour in our hopes into it, our sorrows, our issues, our familial issues?
Remember Momo's old sifter?
Yeah.
It was really
with
creaky.
A little crank.
Yeah.
I envisioned one element staying the same throughout time. And I thought something that seems very feminine is a nicely decorated cake. And so if the cake stays and the women change and the time changes, what does that say dramatically about where women are and where we were and what we retain of ourselves as we progress?
Gunderson's grandmother grew up at a time when store-bought cakes were a luxury. Like it or not, she had to bake. Gunderson's mother worked a full-time job that left little time for baking.
I feel a lot differently about baking than our mother and our grandmother. I think it was sort of a stressful thing for them, but necessary for a celebration. I don't know, I just love it. I love the science to it. I love the creativity.
It's actually kind of stressful.
No.
I see where Mom was coming from.
No.
And that's really what this play is. Very significant moments in mother and daughter relationships through 4 generations of one family.
Good job.
Just as Gunderson's play is woven with family history, Octavio Solis' research into farming doesn't feed just his writing. What he's learning is informing another, more personal endeavor. He and his wife, Jeannie, want to start a farm on land they bought in Oregon.
I wanted to tell a story about someone who's like me, who's never farmed before, who tries it and fails again, and fails again. I don't know what it is that I want my audience to get from the play just yet, because the play is still in a fetal form, if you will. But what I want the audience to get from the entire event is a greater understanding that the things they're putting in their mouths are laden with the labors of so many people.
With every play that we do, we try to accept responsibility for creating a dialogue with our audience so that we discover something, even if it's something private, something entirely emotional, but there's some relationship to the topic that you have that's taking you on a journey.
Like the playwrights, the journey will be hands-on for audiences as well. The final event will feature not just plays, but also meals and audience participation.